How you doing, everybody? Thanks for joining us today for another Rolling Over the Hill right here on the Live to Roll channel. And thanks to all of you for being part of our Live to Roll family. Before we get started, let's give our sponsors a thanks, mobility professionals and urology professionals. They're a great and helpful group of experts that are very much part of our community and can help you with all your mobility and rehab equipment as well as your urology needs. So a big thanks to them for sponsoring Live to Roll. On today's show, we'll be discussing outdoor adventures programs, which are mostly organized by a variety of foundations and hospitals. We'll talk about what they're all about, and as well as the benefits of being a participant in these various activities. So please make sure to include your questions, comments, and views in the chat, and don't forget to hit that like button. Hello, everyone. My name is Robert Soto. I'm a T12 spinal cord injury from a motorcycle racing accident 51 years ago. Let's get started and welcome my co-host, Chad, Paul, and Bobby. What's up, guys?
Not much, not much. I'll talk as fast as you can. My name is Bobby Rohan, and I'm a C5. I just you came out like a cannon today, Bob. I'm Bobby Rohan, C5, C6 quadriplegic here in Fountain Valley, Huntington Beach, SoCal area. Loving life, 36 years post. Hope everyone is doing well out there. Take it away, Paul.
Hey, I'm Paul, also C56 Quad, 40 years post, coming at you from Saskatchewan, Canada, up in the Great White North. Well, not that it's white now, it's nice and green right now. Getting ready for some fun adventures this spring and summer. Excited to see what we got to talk about today and what we can dig up and hear people's stories. So, over to you, Chad.
Hello, I'm Chad Dismukes, C56 quadriplegic from San Antonio, Texas. Um, Broke my neck 30 years ago, diving accident. And yeah, active, get around. And yeah, look forward to the discussion today about different activities that are available for us wheelchair users.
Yeah,
Welcome, everyone.
you got it. It's each week we're trying to think of a topic coming up, but I don't know about everyone out there, but it has been beautiful. Finally, out here in Southern California, we were
Yep.
at some gloom areas, days, I should say, for a couple months, and hopefully around the country it's getting a little bit nicer. So we thought, what? Let's bring up getting outdoors, right? Activity,
Um,
stuff like that. Because there's so many programs out there, and I know that this goes all over, across the United States. Even we got Andrew. I know he's over the pond. So it's surprisingly easy what you can find out there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the
there's
time.
lots of stuff you look. All you got to do is look. There's tons of stuff happening
Yeah,
all
Yeah,
over.
that's what we were talking about earlier. I was doing research, just googling a bunch of stuff, and everything, anywhere. There's some form of an outdoor adventure, whether you call it, certain sports or whatever. And it's outdoors. There's like hiking trails and things that are so much out there that are adaptive now for all activities. So it's just the benefits of your own well-being and just getting out there, to show what you can do.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing that I'm starting to come across is you don't have to wait for it, or you can be isolated, and you can go to these. They're not limited to everyone's area. It's open to all, and yeah, that's going to cost a little bit more for travel. It's uh, and getting there, but the cool thing that I've been seeing, because I handle some of our uh, grants for Triumph Foundation, people are asking to go to these kind of things. Um, you know, I don't, bring in a little bit of history, of my 36 years. I went out and experienced skydiving on my own. I didn't wait for a group uh, to form and take anybody out in the to do that. I just went with a friend of mine who was also in a chair, and we had our girlfriends with us, and we just drove out to a skydiving place and went, "Can we jump?" And yeah, why not? You
That's
know,
right.
why wouldn't you be? I'm like, I don't know, would you? I mean, he goes, you're doing tandem, so it's just like anybody else. And so I didn't have to wait. And like another trip, a group of my friends put together was river rafting. I was the only paralyzed, on the in the 50 people that went. So there's so many other adventures that you can go out and seek. Just make sure that the company is okay with with you going on those types of trips. But I've never found a problem. I don't know. How about you guys about seeking out doing things where it's not what we're going to show you with organized uh, uh,
Sports and things like that.
organizations, I should say.
Yeah, let's share a little bit about kind of the adventures we've had over our last combined number of years.
Yeah, yeah.
Different parts of the country and things that people have done. What kind of things have you tried, Chad?
I've tried. We had an all. Well, it wasn't really individually, but we had an all can ski over here in San Antonio. It was sponsored by SeaWorld, and there was probably, I would say, 15 people out there, participants out there. It wasn't really individually, um, but yeah, good time. I think of the safety factor too, Bobby, when you talk about individually. I go out and I'll go on a hike by myself or take off on, and just being, we got, that's, it's great and all, but we've got to be mindful too of the safety factor and make sure we're aware of our body and how it reacts in certain situations and that kind of thing. So I think that's got to always keep that in mind when we do seek out these adventures with, and to make sure we have enough people that can support us, really, especially getting in the water. But yeah, so
Yep, definitely. I know for me, mine was mostly at the beginning of my injury, just with the sports of wheelchair tennis and basketball and things like that. Um, I was always a camper going out and camping, but it was nothing, uh, adaptive. It's just, I did, you just did what you needed to do. You had a tent or whatever it is. And I had a porta potty with me all the time. I always included that. But yeah, I was just fascinated with just all the things that I found in the last day or so. Because I go to a lot of these events, but I'm not really a participant. I just kind of go there and hang out and socialize and things like that, just to be part of it and support it. Um, and I think it's wonderful, especially with newer injuries, finding out what they can do. And like I made some notes here on just the benefits of participating in all these events, because there's so many, and you don't have to just go to one where it's something that you're not interested. You might find that you are, but I mean, there's so many ones that you can focus on. Like if you're interested in water sports, there's all kinds of different adventures for that. So what I kind of made a list of is here just the benefits of being a participant. And one is just the improved physical health, just keeping yourself physically healthy to it enhances the cardiovascular and things like that. Enhance mental health, well-being. That's a big piece of it right there. Those two. Um, it also helps with increasing your independence. So depending on what you need to do, your technique and your method of transferring on to whatever equipment you're going to be using, the social engagement, learning new skills and interests, sense of freedom and empowerment, and improved quality of life. You guys agree with any of those or all of those? Or
I think probably all of them. Yeah, I'd be 100%.
yeah, I mean it is. I mean, when you look at it, I mean it's there's nothing negative out there. I mean, you're going to get out there, especially when you're a newer injury. You're all questioning what you can do, what you're not, and you're mostly looking at what you're not going to be able to do anymore when you first get injured. It's not what you can. It's just, oh, I can't do this anymore. I won't be able to do this, but you can. And like I said, I'm not a big participant in these things. I support them and I'm there, but there's plenty.
And a lot of people that do, it doesn't have to be sports, and you know, going camping is not like a sport, right? So
Right.
starting with camping. So what am I going to do with camping? Um, you know, okay, maybe sleeping on the ground is not the ideal for our skin, right? You know, is there a blow up bed that might be easy to operate? What kind of tent I I've seen these tents nowadays where you can throw them and then they plop it.
Yeah,
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 so
yeah,
is that an option, or do you need to roll into the tent and certain things like that? But once you find what works best for you, you can pretty much camp. And then what am I going to do camping? Is the terrain going to be accessible? Well, there's tons of terrains and there's tons, depending on where you're going, you can find these accessible places. And maybe, what just thinking off the top of my head, going camping means a lot of times going fishing, so there's adapting fishing gear out there, and a lot of states have where you can get a free fishing license too. So the possibilities are, pretty much endless. And, who was it? Jay, you asked about the skydiving. How did it go? It was, going out, it was a tandem. They clicked, I clicked onto, they clicked onto my back, so their stomach, and they did all, everything for me. We just went up, out of the plane, flatten out, 40 seconds that seemed like 30 or like 3 seconds, but we were floating there for a while, and then he pulled. And when we landed, um, I did have my feet tied, duct taped to his feet. So he kicked my feet up, and then we just landed on his butt. Now, Ken said he broke his hip. So doing that. So those are some risks when you're not doing it maybe with a group, or even when you are doing it with an organization that did it for adaptive reasoning. That is a risk. So you got to be uh, ready for anything, I guess you can say.
yeah, yeah. But you know what? Getting back to the camping piece like that, it's just being away from the norm for yourself. For yourself, you're just getting out there. Even if you're just sitting out there, hanging out. Like you said, if there's a lake and you're sitting on the lake and just taking life easy, breathing in the fresh air and just like for me when we went camping, we would go camping up towards Northern Cal by the beach there, Pismo Beach and all that stuff. You just kind of hang out there. I mean, it just I mean, I've always been good at doing um, nothing, and that's what that is. It's just being outside, just enjoying nature, and sitting around hanging with the campfire, drinking beers and all that kind of stuff. Man,
Mm-hmm.
I'm all about that. I mean, it was enjoyable. And then you get back to reality and get back into the working world.
Yeah.
That's some of the things I did besides all the organized sports was we get together and go camping. And then we started with the tent. We started with the blow up mattress idea, the porta potty. That worked good for a while. Then we thought, let's ramp this up a little bit. Lots of places you go to, you can find accessible cabins.
Yeah,
And that's what
yeah,
we've done a lot is rented a cabin for a weekend or a week or whatever. I got a couple of buddies that have accessible campers, both the pop-up style and the pull behind. And
Yeah.
actually, one guy's selling it right now. It's a beautiful camper. And then we did a lot of fishing. I had a pontoon boat within the family, was able to pull that around. Really easy to get on and off in the wheelchair. Great for fishing. My buddy and I, who was in a power chair, and our wives would go out all the time and go out for the weekend or even out for the day. I mean, you find a
yeah.
lake and go out for the day and
Plus,
just
a
throw it in the water.
pontoon boat is pretty accessible once you're on there. I mean, it's a
Oh,
platform, with the,
yeah,
it's pretty easy to get around on it.
Pretty accessible one, even to get from the dock to that.
get to the dock of the boat is super easy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
I
Yeah.
mean, my
And
dad built a little ramp that just folded down and wheeled right on, and he folded the ramp up. It was just a little piece of plywood on a hinge. And yeah,
yeah.
it was super easy.
yeah.
Well,
Pontoon boats were fun. We used one when I used to go out to a lake, and we had a double decker pontoon boat, and it was pretty cool. It was nice, man. Those were some good memories. And like I said, I haven't been on one recently, but I know I was talking to one of our peers, Anthony. He says he gets they rent one and he gets on one with no sweat. They got because you got somebody that kind of just keeps it kind of level almost from the dock, and he rolls right onto it.
Yeah,
And
you
you're
just
not
the
confined
advantage.
to it. You can roll around, which is
Yeah,
I
You can
I
move
have
around.
that
You
one.
don't have to get out of your chair,
Yeah, I
which is
hate being
nice. But
stuck. I want to be able to move around. So yeah,
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 you can move around. Really easy to fish off of.
yeah. Nice.
You fish from your chair. Then the adaptive things for fishing, you can like it doesn't have to be expensive equipment. First time I went fishing, I was working with a park ranger and we were doing a whole accessibility audit and got on his boat and went out fishing and I didn't have any adaptive gear and he let me use his wife's rod. Well, I didn't know what I was doing. And my first cast, I threw his $150 rod in the lake. I
Yeah.
I casted it and it just kept going. So
Yeah.
that
No.
was a little more expensive one, but I got a nice fishing cup. It's kind of a leather cuff, and they're not expensive.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
find stuff or make stuff that's works well, but there's all kinds of non-organized stuff you can do. I
Yeah,
mean,
not to change the subject, but Derek kind of led us into what we kind of did some research out there for everyone. And as Derek said, check out the East Coast Wheeling Sportsman, um, and maybe describe in the chat if you can, Derek, a little bit about it. But we found some programs out there, and also some sites out there where you can find programs near you. And I thought we'd start with Kelly Foundation. And I know everyone's going to ask, like, can we put this in the description? We have a lot of them, so they won't fit, but I'm just going to tell you. And if you need to rewind and look at it again, but this one is activeproject.kellybrushfoundation.org. That's how you can find this, or you can go to kellybrush.org. And as you see on this page for their active project, they have sports, events, programs, or events and programs. So when you click on that, you get events and adaptive programs, community, and resource link. Um, so when you click on that, on the events, it will take you to a page like this. And this is just in our area of events that are going on. So we have a life role or organizations where you can find out more about their adaptive program. Sorry, that's what it was. So, like I used to work at Rancho and we have an outdoor program where people can do all these different biking, bowling, deep sea fishing, etc. There's also the USTA for tennis. Anybody who wants to play tennis. The Casa Clean Outdoor Adventures. We'll talk more about that. Los Angeles. They have power soccer. And a lot of these where it says learn more, you can find the number and the websites. And then like life rolls on. So um, there's so much to that website. It goes on endless to find any organization and also and I just typed in my zip code and 250 miles, and it gave just a, anywhere. I typed in back east web's zip code and got a ton back there. There was
Yeah.
so many things. It was just amazing. So want to look for something like to get out, the app activeproject.kellybrushfoundation.org. Moving right along, I don't know if any, I know personally, and I've also, for speaking of Kelly Brush, I've gotten a grant for through Kelly Brush Foundation. That's how I have my hand bikes that are behind me. I got a grant for it. So if there's something out there that you want to do, like maybe travel to any of these sporting things, it's a great way to apply for something like that.
how do you do that, Bobby? You just fill out the. I mean, what do they ask you? Some general questions?
It's an easy form to be honest with you, but you got to do your work. I mean, if they're going to give you money, you got to do your
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
So Kelly Brush, I believe, have it open enrollment 3 times. Excuse me, twice or 3 times a year. Okay, and then you fill out the application. The application is a little bit about you, your history. Another thing they're going to ask you is if you've ever tried um, the equipment that you're applying for. Um, you got to get a letter that just states that you are true, have a disability. You got to get a letter of recommendation from somebody. You got to get quotes for it, 2 or 3 different quotes. So there's a little bit of work you have to do, but they're about to give you money, and so I would take it.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I don't know if anybody wants to talk about this next one. It's liferollson.org. So liferollson.org. Yeah, if anybody hasn't heard about them, they do surfing, skate, and it looks like they even do now fishing that I didn't know about. So um, the surfing is California, Virginia, North Carolina, looks like Nova Scotia, and Rhode Island. So they have all the those sites there for or places to go surf. So Santa Monica, Carolina Beach, and etc. So those are all the places where you can go try out surfing, and they have multiple volunteers out there. And then in Georgia, North Carolina, California, you can go and get into those skate parks. And then in San Pedro out here, they have a fishing dates or 2 fishing dates. So that's life rolls on. And I've done that surfing. I don't know if any of you guys have tried the surfing at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, or not. No, it's not surfing. Water skiing.
Right.
Then we got what other ones? We got some local ones coming up, like next week and things like that, right? The Casa
Yeah.
Clino.
So Casa Colina is another site that's that has an outdoor adventure where they're not just in Southern California. They might be going like kayaking on a lake in Oregon or back east somewhere. And then they bring, you got to make your own transportation. But for anybody interested in like the Casa Colina, and you can go Casa Colina, Google it, Casa Colina Outdoor Adventures, and they'll take you to their program and their program calendar for Southern California.
Yeah, and another thing about Casa Colina with the outdoor adventures, the director there, Lisa, she's pursuing to get expand things there on the campus itself, the hospital. They want to put a pool in there and just things like that. So and make it all self-inclusive in terms of all the rec therapy that they have, the rec and the activities. So they're kind of working on fundraising for that as well now. So um, some of these hospitals are really getting into the benefits, like we went over earlier, for all the patients, because I mean it's your mental health, man. I mean, it's that's a big piece of all this, of acceptance, overcoming, and just being out there, the empowerment that you get, and the accomplishment that you get when you participate.
Right, right.
And
Um,
meeting other people that are, doing
Yeah, I
it.
mean, yeah, it's a community, a sense of community.
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, that's the best information I've ever gotten is from other quads or other people in chairs that share their experiences.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and Jay Willie, no, they have so many programs out there for younger people as well. It's mind boggling. But here's another
yeah,
one. It's adaptive sports out in Crescent Butte, and
yeah,
the cool thing about it is you can see the picture here. They're mountain biking, but they have a summer camp and winter camps for snow skiing. So definitely, if you're ever thinking about snow skiing, they're in Colorado, so that's another spot that you can go out to. It's all exclusive. Um, Even I know like Mammoth, and I'm sure back east there's so many adaptive programs for snow skiing.
Yeah.
You just got to do the little research, right?
And they have all state of the art equipment, that they're using nowadays too. There's so much improvement with the technology. I'm sure that from what you used to do when you first started it, Bobby.
Mm-hmm. Let's
Have
see.
you
Hey,
guys
so I got
ever?
I got a question for you guys because, like I said, I haven't been too involved with this stuff in recent years. But what about mentorship when you're looking at a sport and you're serious about it? Is it important for you to get a mentor for that sport?
I would think so.
You
Is
At
go
least,
out to get involved in one of the programs. There'll be mentors there. Whether you need a personalized one, I don't know about that, but just that whole community. I think the community is great. Depends on the activity and the level you
Yeah,
want to do it at too.
yeah, yeah,
Are you doing it for recreation? Are you doing it for competition? Um, Competition, then it'd be more. You'd want more of that.
yeah. How serious you want to be about it is what it comes down to, right?
uh, like you can go out there and like with the hand cycling that's behind me. And there's so many programs out there that do the hand cycling. And if you go back to that Kelly Brush Foundation, they have so many places of organizations that get together and hand cycling. You can take it as far as you want. You can take it as I'm just going to go to the beach and around the park or around my neighborhood. And then
Yeah.
you can take it to, hey, I want to get into racing. Um, you know, the marathons are endless now with hand cycle. Um, People who are racing with their hand cycles as well as their racing chair. So it's depending on how far you want to take it. But the mindset, now you can get into the riskier stuff. Now, when we mentioned skydiving, but water skiing and snow skiing, those can be, you know, a little nerve wracking if you're fearing that you might get hurt.
I used to know some guys that did rappelling. They would rappel off this. I had a friend in Hawaii, Damon, and he'd go to this event and they would rappel off these buildings in their chairs. It's kind of different, but hell, I wouldn't be doing it. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And Jay, you just asked Jay Willie. Um, they they do summer camps. Yeah, they do summer camps. If you were talking about the Eastern Crescent Butte, they do summer camps where you can stay there. I think here's another one, Empower SCI. They have a program where you can go out there and get actually life skills of being in a chair. When I kind of investigate what I've heard about this program is, they have um, other skills factors besides just doing sports, and it was for all ages. Um, and, you know, learning how to do uh, wheelies, things in your chair that you never thought you could be able to do. It's Empower SCI is the website. Actually, let's look at. Let me blow it up for you.
wow, that's really good. That's
Yeah,
great.
empowersci.org. And so they have some great programs out there that for anybody who wants to check it out.
Yeah, wow.
There was another one. Did I?
There's so many out there.
Oh,
The li-
now this wasn't a camp, but Disabled Sports Eastern Sierras. So that's a snow skiing and hand cycling program. Um, Another great program. They are out here more in Northern California, so disabled. Sportseasternsierra.org is how you can find this one out. And when you're calling, just call to see what you can do. Um, uh, what can they offer for you? And then I'm going to do one last one. Where is it? Darn it. I had one that was really good.
There was quite a list,
There we go.
that's for sure.
Okay. So I don't know if anybody wants to talk about this when we investigated Move United.
Yeah.
So what was cool about this, moveunited.org, but this was part of their moveunited.org/sports and /adaptive equipment. So, right, we're, saying that, oh, let's go out and try some of these. This was a great little site that we found on top of it with resources. So if you want to try archery, they gave you where to go find an adaptive bow and arrow and maybe and places. Backpacking, badminton, it was endless. Where you can CrossFit was one thing that I found interesting, and finding all the places where you can do CrossFit, which is an exercise program, all the way to skateboarding, skiing, sled hockey, and I think the list went down further. So this was great. Once you click into it, the information was so endless. And
Where
then
is that? Is that United Spinal?
no, that was Move United. Move United. Dot. So I'll blow up the we found. Move United.
Good resource.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul, have you ever done any played hockey? Gotten on the ice?
Yeah, I tried sledge hockey and tried all the sports. Um, competitively played rugby, but yeah, for sure. But some of the outdoor adventure stuff, like things like kayaking, you can do that from recreation all the way up to competitive kayaking in the adaptive divisions. And there's lots of the adaptive division is fairly new, so there's room for growth, and they really are trying to promote it. Rowing is another one. So flat water rowing is another one that's pretty cool, and it's in the Olympics now, so you can do that for recreation again, all the way up to whatever type of elite competition you want to do. So that's what's cool about all of these different things. You can try them and do them with your family, all the way through to do it really competitively. Shooting is another one that's it's fun to go and try that too, and you play around with targets. I know lots of guys that go hunting in chairs, but you can also do that competitively too.
We just
Okay.
talked to a friend who is a he's C4-5, but then the swelling made him a ventilator
Yeah.
quadriplegic. So he's on a ventilator. All he has is the shrug of his shoulder, and he says his main hobby now is going out and shooting his semi-automatic gun.
Yeah. Practice.
Yeah, and that he has an adaptive stand for it, and the way he's able to pull the trigger with his mouth. So he's doing all the aiming with his eyes, and is able to adjust where the gun needs to go and able to do shooting. So he really
that's totally
loves
cool.
going out to the shooting range.
I had a buddy that used to go. I used to go hunting, but he was a quad in a power chair with one arm, and he had everything rigged up so he could do it independently. And he'd take me out with him. We'd go and target practice using a muzzle loader. Well, a muzzle loader is a single shot rifle. That's old school. That was a lot of fun. That was pretty
You
cool.
gotta put it in the
Yeah,
load.
You did it all. You used the ball. Another one I tried once was a competitive. There was a friend of mine. Her dad shot competitively, and he brought out his 22 rifle, and we took that out to the range. Wow, that's pretty cool. Being able to shoot a high. It was a low caliber, but a high end rifle that's made for competition that is super accurate.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty neat.
Jay was asking about what programs had that. It was adaptive. Well, no, I'm sorry, not. Yeah, this is the Crescent Butte. Um, so Crescent Butte Adaptive Sports Organization is the Crescent Butte one for Jay. Um, the other one that we were talking about was Empower
Yeah,
SCI.
that's a good one.
So empowersci.org for their programs. And then I think we had one more, right, guys? Venture. Where was it? Was it this one? Rocky Mountain. I think they have this one. Um, yeah, Rocky Mountain Adaptive.com. So there's some organizations out there for you to look up, and then another thing that we kind of, started digging in. And so, Paul, I don't know if you want to start talking about this one.
Yeah, like the Rocky Mountain Adaptive is, and there's a number of those as well. So that one's out in the Rocky Mountains in Alberta and British Columbia up in Canada. And they've got a really cool program, and they have both a winter and summer program for adapted biking, for the mountain biking, the skiing. Um, and it's really focused on spinal cord injury stuff. So they're set up to work with people with spinal cord injuries. There was another one I found in a place called Pincher Creek, Alberta, which is a little bit smaller place, but they've got a whole water program there for kayaking, fishing. I think they do some paddleboarding, just all different types of stuff like that. So really, all you got to do is look in your local area. Um, there's tons of stuff all over. The adapted kayaks originally came out of Minnesota. The fellow was down there in Minnesota, and he's got them. They're floating all over. I mean, literally floating all over. Like I know there's a bunch of them out in California. That we've got them up here. Um, I know he's out in the eastern states now, and he's still doing some stuff out there. A place called Creating Ability, um, and it's kind of came out of the passion for wanting to get out on the water, and he came up with these. Safety was a big thing, so he came up with safe adaptations for kayaking, canoeing, for people with limited mobility. Being able to hang onto the paddle. And when we started it, and I think that's that picture you have there, Bobby.
Yeah, so the paddle.
Yeah, right there. So when we started kayaking, I used duct tape to hang onto the paddle. Well, duct tape works really well until you want to let go of the paddle. Then it doesn't work so well. So if you tip over or something, it's not so safe. But the adaptations he's got there, and these aren't expensive either. They're very reasonable. And having used them, they work really, really well for somebody with limited hand function.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really impressed with the simplicity and the design and the quality.
So what's great about this one was, um, um, if you Google access to recreation, this is what you're going to find. But ablerec.com is how you find this, and then they have it categorized for every sport, as you can see: fishing, hunting, bowling. Up here is archery, billiards, swimming and sports, camping, and hiking. So there's a fishing pool here. So this website is where you can get that equipment and go make your own adventure.
Yeah.
And there was another one. Here was adaptive equipment, kind of the same thing for fishing. It seemed like more for hunting and stuff like that, but it was beadaptive.com. And you can check out videos, it looks like on this one, and their products. So many out there. It's just endless of what you can do when you can get out there um, into the wild blue yonder. Let's see. And
It
then,
gives a sense of control too. You know, being able to go out there and learn some of these sports and some of these activities. I mean, hell, we already are limited to the control that we have, and then but to be able to go out and learn different some of these different skills is it's great mental health is what it is, or it's what I've experienced in doing some of this kind of stuff.
yeah. And then there's like adapted adventures, where in this site you can look up the snow skiing, kayaking, rock climbing, cycling, whitewater rafting, water skiing, and drag boat racing. Believe it or not.
Yeah, how you talking?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, um, so get out there, and make your adventure. So, adaptiveadventures.org program. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't beat it. That what's out there, and there are grants like we were talking about through the Kelly Brush Foundation. If you got hurt playing a sports, there's High Fives Foundation, there's Challenge Athletes Foundation, and especially Challenge Athletes Foundation. They will pay for trips like this for you to get out there and go.
see Derek here in the chat. He was talking about he's used a sip and puff controlled rifle to shoot. Wow,
That is
that's awesome.
dang. We should have had you on there, Derek.
I think that's what Russ uses is the sip and puff. I think that's what he said he uses to shoot with is the same thing that Derek's talking about, is that sip and puff system, which would be very cool. Like you said, very accurate. Jay, that one in Pincher Creek is called Adaptable Outdoors. If you just Google that, you'll find it. I kind of thought of you when I saw that one on there because I figured that'd be the easiest one for you to get to.
Yeah.
Oh, Bobby, we can't hear you. We've lost your
My,
sound there.
I dropped my sound because my dogs are barking, of course. Um, the one thing I think we just wanted to say, summer is coming. Get out there and make your own adventure. And like the sites we're
Yeah.
putting out there, you don't have to go to some of these amazing things like Life Rolls On if you're not living close to any of these. Um, you can get out there and make something for yourself of getting the equipment that might work best for you. You can play bocce ball, which they have the adaptive equipment supplier for bocce balls that make it easier for somebody who wants to play some bocce ball. And like I think in the Paralympics bocce ball, these guys had the ramp and the stick that they were just pointing forward to hit the bocce ball to go down to
Yeah.
play bocce ball. You didn't need much.
Has anybody, speaking of bocce ball, which is a little bit different, has anybody tried lawn darts? Back in the day, lawn darts were pointy
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they,
and dangerous, and dangerous.
I found a really cool set that it was at Costco and it was a sandbag on the end and to hang on, and it was kind of a foam dart, but it was a sandbag. And to hang on to it, it was a big loop, like the most accessible lawn dart idea ever. And you could just whip that thing. It works really well. And just get out there and throw it at your kids. Ah,
There you go.
Yeah, don't have to stab them and get stabbed by the dart, huh?
Yeah.
yeah,
Something that we haven't talked about that's also fun and kind of popular these days is with pickleball.
Yeah,
pickleball. Yeah,
Pickleball, which is great because usually it's played with doubles, and the court is so much smaller than a tennis court. Not so much, but it's about a third of the size, and it just makes it an easy, fun sport. Easy to hold a racket, um, and
It's
you
a,
can
Yeah.
be very competitive at it.
and with
Yeah.
the ball itself too, the ball it's not getting whipped at you like a tennis ball, so you can actually
Yeah. Yeah. It's
flip it and
getting,
play the
it's,
sport.
and it's pretty popular. I know out here in Southern California, they're converting courts and all that for pickleball now. So,
You know what?
uh,
Same up
it's,
here.
yeah, it's a
Same up
big
here.
deal.
There's a place in the city I live in where there was an old curling rink, and curling's big in Canada, right? An old curling rink. They not enough curlers. They converted it to pickleball. The whole thing
Yeah.
is a big old pickleball place now. Indoors, outdoors.
Yeah,
It's cool.
Nicole mentioned in the chat to um, stay hydrated, everyone.
yeah,
And
Yeah,
I would agree. And bring your water bottle, your spray bottle.
yeah.
and
And
sunscreen.
It
with
gets
these
hot out there.
activities that we're talking about, being outdoors, that's so important. Being hydrated, finding out where your temperature level is. So you might want to put that in consideration. That if you're doing something where it's not near water, in a hot environment, yeah, I mean, any of these places they can still get warm during the summer. So be careful, understand your body. And maybe next time that we can get into some of the traveling aspects of things and the safety of traveling for going to these types of places and what's important.
Yeah.
Because you know how this heat is, it builds in our lower body, and by the time you start feeling it, you're done. Or at least I am. It
Hmm.
builds in my legs, and then hell, and when it comes, and you gotta find indoors quick.
Wow, look at Ken.
Know
Yeah.
your body.
Yeah,
That's so cool. Yeah, they do have a lot of hunting trips, adaptable, these tank looking like um, for going out through pretty much any terrain. I forget what they're called. I want to
the
say,
track chair.
what's
You're
that?
talking about the track chair.
Yeah, track about. Was it track about?
Well, there's the track chair, or do you mean the one that you clip onto?
Not the one you clip onto. You got to get this thing is like a tractor almost. Like
Actual
Yeah.
chair, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
called a track
Yeah.
chair.
Because you're sitting on top of it,
yeah,
not in it or anything. You're on top of
yeah.
it.
I've seen in magazines of those they use that type of chair to go hunting.
Yeah.
Out there in the deep woods. So make your own venture, like I keep saying. Not to sound like a broken record, but those are some just simple things that yesterday we took an hour out of our time and found that it was so easy.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff out there, and we just scratched the surface.
We
Just a
did.
big swipe, and that's it, man.
Yeah, and I think whatever you have an inkling to do, you can find it. Um, Google is our second coming to man, I think, of finding things to do. And
Yeah.
it can just be creative with your words that you put in. Uh, be resourceful.
Yeah.
All
Yep.
right,
Get out of the house. Yeah.
get out of
Get
there.
out of the house and smell some air. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Be social.
Just get outside, enjoy the sun, get that vitamin D.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yep,
Bob, you
exactly.
want to bring up our sponsors again?
Yep. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Mobility Professionals and Urology Professionals. They are very good at what they do, and that is providing the best in a variety of medical equipment, along with excellent customer service. Mobility Professional services the Southern California region, so contact them if you are in need of a wheelchair or any other DME equipment. Their sister company, Urology Professionals, can help you with your catheter needs. They service nationally, so wherever you're at in the country, and in need of urology supplies, give them a call. Urology Professionals. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
It's awesome.
Also, don't forget to check out our show every Tuesday, back with Shawn and Tom and myself. And we're Tuesday every day at 3:30, or every Tuesday at 3:30, not every day. I think next month or next week is a free week. Is it?
Yeah, let's see here.
Is Thursday? I can't believe I don't know. Is that the first?
Is Tom
Yeah.
coming on Wednesday?
The 29th is the 5th
Yeah,
Thursday.
so we don't know if there's going to be a show on Thursday. We'll talk to the boss on that. But before that, Tom will be with his cooking. I wasn't able to catch the show, but I'm going to watch it tonight. Looked like he had the skillet out and a burner, so it would be fun. And then after that, we got Rolling with the Golden Oldies coming up the month. So check out our other shows. They are taped for those that want to see any of our past shows. And Jay had, who do I contact when I need a wheelchair? Where are you and what state? So you're going to probably want to go to your doctor and start from there. And depending on who's ever in your area, and when you're ready,
Providers.
Jay, just let us know. All right. Let's see, remove that, add that. All right, everyone. It looks like we had an awesome show, as everybody's mentioning. So, with that, have fun this summer. Get out there. You got plenty of time before June, July, August happens. Get out there and enjoy it.
Get some fresh air.
Yeah.
Get some rays.
You got it. All right. Hope everyone has a great rest of the week. And with that, we are out of here.